Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Do a quick roll call here while everyone's joining in. If you ever miss a class, hopefully I've uploaded that class period to YouTube. If you watch it on YouTube, leave a comment on YouTube so I know you watched it. And plus, it ups my comments quite a bit. Give a thumbs up. I won't give you any extra points, but I appreciate it. All right. Okay. Let's see here. We are going to talk about Costco today. So everyone do your reading. Everyone feel very educated about Costco. How many of you, your family has a Costco membership? Yes, yes. Alyssa, does your family have a Costco membership? Is that where you guys get your waffle mix?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, right? The Kodiak waffle mix is really good.
We don't get the waffle mixes there, though. We just make them from scratch.
Oh, well, that's even better.
We like to eat lunch at Costco, though.
Yeah, it's so cheap, right? I mean, the hot dogs, the pizza, you can get a chicken Caesar salad there. Yeah. Well, we're going to watch a couple videos about Costco, and I want to talk about it. But before we watch any videos specifically about Costco, I want to watch a video about ethical leadership. It's from the same organization that the Jack Abramoff videos came from. It's University of Texas, Austin, I think. So let me pull up my... Okay, so you guys should be able to see and hear this. Can you guys see my shared screen? Yes? Okay, hopefully this will work for sound as well. Here we go. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear this.
Ethical leaders both act ethically as an inspiration to others, educate and manage their organization's culture so as to promote ethical action. So, how does a leader effectively communicate and manage an organization's culture to create ethical action?
I think effective leaders lead by example, and that's sort of setting the tone.
The most important attribute of being an effective leader is cultivating a self-awareness.
Respect for other people.
They know they are responsible for a group of people.
Well, leaders must establish their organization's ethical norms. They must ask, what does our organization stand for? They should set high expectations. Leaders must also effectively communicate to others both the contents of those ethical norms and the intensity of the organization's commitment to upholding them. The careful drafting, with input from others in their organization, of a code of ethics can be helpful. Then, leaders must implement employment practices consistent with these overall goals. Of course, they must hire good people and punish those who violate the organization's ethical norms. Just as importantly, they must reward those whose conduct embodies the organization's ethical standards.
You can all agree that you have these core values in your company and maybe put some posters on the wall, but if you never have to talk about it and figure out how it relates to your actual day-to-day work, then it's all fluff.
It turns out that leaders can use psychological knowledge to nudge employees to act more ethically. So, leaders should keep in mind, people are more likely to steal from their firms or mistreat their firm's customers if they feel as though they themselves have been mistreated.
As the leader, it is your responsibility to put others ahead of you sometimes. You want them to be very happy and to feel very good about the work that they're doing on a constant basis.
Leaders must explain the reasons for taking the actions that they take, for that helps employees accept decisions, even if they disagree with them. Also, studies show that employees are more likely to act unethically if they are exhausted. So to overwork employees is to court disaster. Relatedly, people tend to act less ethically if they are under acute time pressure. So this is another reason to be reasonable in placing demands upon employees. Professors Margolis and Malinsky studied several organizations and found that some wisely built into their processes time for pauses and second looks.
So in hyper-competitive environments, there's incentives to be number one, or incentives to be at the top of your class or top of sales or whatever the case may be. And because of those incentives, people will do whatever they need to do.
Remember, employees naturally focus upon goals that are set for them by superiors. If unrealistic goals are set, especially those that carry punishments for failing to meet them, or extravagant rewards for exceeding them, then employees will tend to lose focus on the ethical aspects of their actions. They will concentrate entirely on meeting the goal. Realistic goals and moderate rewards for meeting them are a good combination.
Really having a set follow-up schedule in terms of making sure that everyone's on the same page from an ethical perspective is hugely important.
You may not have considered this, but the evidence is clear that people are more likely to act unethically if they find themselves in a dirty or cluttered workplace, or if they find themselves in a dimly lit space. Cleanliness and good lighting can go a long way toward fostering ethical behavior.
I was in a company that was, very ethically sound. It was definitely an open space. It was an office without cubicles. We were in a big building and there were hundreds of employees with no cubicles, and so that just encouraged more conversations and more interaction.
Finally, studies show that employees will tend to act more ethically if they are frequently reminded of the importance to the firm of living up to its espoused values. Effective leaders create legends that illustrate commitment to the firm's culture. For decades, accounting firm Arthur Andersen was the most admired accounting firm in the world, in part because of its employees' belief in the origin story of how founder Arthur Andersen told a large client that there was not enough money in Chicago to induce him to fudge the numbers. Unfortunately, the leaders of Andersen forgot this lesson and started emphasizing revenue over character, which is why the firm no longer exists.
If we are in a position of power, if we are in a position of leadership, it's simply not enough to just have the title of leadership. We have to assume that challenge, right?
It's easy to say what you're doing, but you actually need to talk the talk and walk the walk.
While there is no single correct way to create and foster an ethical organizational culture, committed leaders will benefit by keeping these points in mind and by remembering that all their actions send messages.
Lead by example. You have to show them what you want done and how you want it done based on your own actions. That way, even in the cases where you're not around, they can say, okay, what would so-and-so do?
If you really want to build a company where people are behind a shared set of values, you have to make people talk about it and relate it to their day-to-day work.
The organizational culture that supports gut feeling, that supports thinking before action, can significantly raise the possibility of more ethical and moral decisions.
All right. Let's talk about this a little bit here. I'm going to stop this share. Okay, so everyone educated themselves about Costco, so I'm going to kind of go around and ask a few questions here. I'll start with Emmy. I'll ask Emmy, Noah, and Katie the first question. So listen for the question. Then I'll go ahead and give a heads up to the next group of what question. So Emmy, Noah, and Katie, I'm going to ask you, how does Costco, as described, like in all the study you did, match up to the best practices explained in the video? So the video talked about how can you have an ethical, how do people like a good work culture? Like what ethical things can a workplace do? So from what you know about Costco, what have they done within their company to encourage employee engagement? What ethical things have they done? What things have they done that just make people want to work there? So the next group, Max, Krista, and Christy, I'm going to have you answer this question. Walmart pays its employees substantially less than Costco does, even though the two companies often compete head-to-head. How can Costco stay in business when it pays up to 40% more to its employees than its direct competitor? So Max, Krista, Christy will answer that. And then Jared and Caleb, let me ask you guys this question. This will come up here in a minute. What do you think are the most important practices for a retail company to pursue to foster an ethical environment for workers and consumers? So, what are some of the best things a retail company could do to make employees and consumers feel like it's an ethical environment? And I can review these questions when we get to it too, but I want you thinking ahead a little bit. And then finally, Joe and Alyssa. This is the question. A stock analyst criticized Costco, saying, Costco continues to be a company that is better at serving the club member and employee than the shareholder. Do you think that's a fair critique? Why or why not? Okay, so they've been accused of taking care of their members and their employees more than the shareholders, people who own stock in the company. Is that fair? Why or why not? So, okay, let's start with Emmy. What does Costco do to create that environment that sounds so positive?
From the article that we were assigned to read, and then also one of their sources, I think that what I observed the most was that they really take care of their employees. They really make sure that they're being cared for. So like their health plan and the pay and everything, the employees feel heard and they feel cared for there. So that's a really welcoming environment for them to be in. So that's something that really stood out to me personally.
Awesome. Okay. Noah, what about you?
Yeah, like Emmy said, Costco on average paid their employees, I believe it was 42% more than Walmart. So on average, the average employee got $17 an hour, plus really good health benefits and all that, which when employees, like the video was talking about, when employees feel like they're being taken care of and treated ethically, you're going to have less turnover costs from employees leaving, and you're going to have a lot less employee theft. And so, and I know that was something that their former CEO, at least, I think he's gone now, but really focused on, and in keeping those things, then he was able to build an ethical culture.
Excellent. All right. What do you think, Katie?
I think kind of just like going what off they said, like the pay and the healthcare plan. A lot of places, if you want like a good healthcare plan and something that pays that much, you need like a degree of some sort, a bunch of experience and that sort of thing. Whereas this is a more welcoming environment for somebody who doesn't really have all those qualifications necessarily. Of course, you have to like stay there and work for a while in order to build up to that. And that's just how Costco like maintains like employee turnover and whatnot. But that makes it a really appealing, ethical place to work, is just because they take care of you so well.
Yeah, great. Okay, and this might kind of feather into the next group's question. So Max, Krista, and Christy, Walmart pays its employees substantially less than Costco, even though the two companies often compete head-to-head. How can Costco stay in business when it pays up to 40% more than to its employees than its direct competitors? What do you think about that, Max?
I think kind of incorporating what Noah said, they have less employee turnover, and because of that satisfaction, they're able to keep employees longer. And so then they don't have to have that cost of training people over and over again. They're keeping them longer, and so they're saving money in that way. Also, I can't remember if it was in the main article or one of the articles that I read, that said that the number of SKUs, like the products that they have on the floor, for Costco is substantially less. And so those workers aren't required to do as much in that sense of like stocking the shelves and stuff. So they're not required to do like as much stocking in that sense. And another important thing was that Walmart and Costco are marketed to different groups, where one of the articles I read said that Walmart is like the cheap one available to everyone. And so they have a much wider group that they're making themselves available to, which then increases their cost in other areas. So they can't pay their employees as well because they have to spread themselves over a larger area. Whereas Costco is usually, as it mentioned, set in more affluent neighborhoods, and you require membership to get in, and so then it's a more focused demographic, if you will. And those factors incorporating allow it to, because of its smaller focus and smaller offerings, it's able to pay their employees more.
Yeah. All right, Krista, what do you think?
I agree with a lot of what Max said. I think less employee turnover is going to make a big difference, like he said, with training time. And because they are engaged employees, I think they're going to do their work well, and they're not going to goof around, and like they're going to get their money's worth, I guess Costco is, from their employees, because they're doing good work and they're not slacking off. And yeah, they have a streamlined inventory, which is helps with efficiency. I also think loyal customers, because they have good customer service and their employees are engaged, and they also have lower prices. So I think having loyal customers is going to make a difference too, because if people aren't coming back to your business, I mean, you can't really survive like that. So
yeah, good. Christy, what do you think?
I think that both Krista and Max kind of covered it really well, but I would just agree with them that I think it really depends on who Costco is and just how they've marketed themselves. And I think because of that, people would rather, like Krista was saying, would rather shop at Costco just because of the customer service and just kind of the values that they have. And those values translate into how they treat each other as employers and employees, and how they treat their customers. And I think that makes a big difference as well.
Yeah, great. Okay. All right. Jared and Caleb, your question. What do you think are some of the most important practices for a retail company to pursue to foster an ethical environment for workers and consumers? Jared, what do you think?
I think it kind of is covered in a few of the other ways that were previously mentioned. But I would say one of the big things with Costco is Costco, with the way they compared to Walmart, with how they pay their employees and how they offer a lot better of a health benefits and overall just pay that even starting out is just a lot higher. And if you just start out at a place like Costco, and I think with that, that's also going to the way the business treats their employees is definitely going to overflow into how the employees treat the customers. So I think that's going to really make a big difference with for a place like that. If you've got employees that are better treating of the customers, that's one thing. And then I also think with one of the honestly, Costco doesn't really rely too much on the income from actually their groceries being sold. They actually benefit primarily through their annual membership fee. And that's one thing I read off of one of the articles. And that's just one way that even though it's a little different than Walmart would have it, I think Sam's Club might be similar in that way, but either way, it's either way they have that annual membership, but apparently enough people think it's worth it to pay that extra annual membership to get a better environment to shop in, and so they enjoy the shopping environment, the employees, and how they're treated with their customer service and etc.
Great, great. Caleb, what do you think? What are some of the practices that a retail company can pursue to foster that ethical environment?
I definitely think Costco is set. They're just kind of set on a next level thing. And I've only been to Costco maybe twice, and the only thing I can compare it to besides Walmart would be Sam's Club with the membership, like you mentioned. My experience with like Sam Club is there was a lot of damaged product out on the shelf. And this was down in Florida, so I don't know if it was just like the mass amount of people that have coming in and out, that stuff gets moved so much or whatever, but the store wasn't really clean. The lighting was, it felt like you were kind of shopping out of a warehouse, as opposed to Costco actually was like, oh, you know, this is a nice place. Everything was fairly well organized. Like I said, yeah, product wasn't damaged. Everything was organized, and it felt just like it was a cleaner, more welcoming atmosphere than Sam's Club. And then the employees at Walmart aren't always the greatest or the friendliest, but the 2 times I've been to Costco, both times the people had smiles on their faces. Their appearance was well kept. As far as like hygiene, you know, guys were shaved and they all dressed respectably and whatnot. But I definitely think the mindset of Costco is to take care of their employees. And when they take care of their employees, the employees will then take care of the customer, which then makes their membership more valuable. So, and that's why people are willing to pay that membership fee. And then, like Jared said, I was reading that the memberships is where they really make their money. That's why they're able to discount their product at such a low level.
Yep. Yep. You know, I got my membership at Costco before we even moved back from Guam because the mortgage lender that we selected told us if we got a $60 membership to Costco, we could get like a $1,500 rebate on our mortgage. So we made our money back like 25 times over from our Costco membership. So excellent. Okay, Joe and Alyssa, last question here. Costco's been criticized because they're serving their club members and employees more than the shareholders. Do you think that's a fair critique? Why or why not, Joe?
I don't think that's fair because, yes, they're serving their customers, but when you serve your customers, then you're setting up your business long-term for success. And with Costco, they've been growing 15% since the year they started in 1983, I think. So long-term, they're definitely benefiting their shareholders, even if it's not a huge yearly increase. But if they did raise their prices, then long-term, it would probably have a bad effect on their business and they'd lose customers and the shareholders would then suffer long-term instead of how they do it with the long-term gain. So I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah, good. Alyssa, what do you think?
Yeah, and just even adding to that, I don't think it's accurate either because the way that they're paying their employees and treating their employees, with the article that I read, it was just the way that they're treating their employees prevented employee turnover. And so it's in the long run actually benefiting their shareholders because they're not having to pay to keep on replacing employees and bringing in more people. And also it's keeping up the customer loyalty as well because customers know that the low prices and discounted deals and everything are not affecting how the employees are being paid and how they're being treated. So it just actually is more so benefiting the shareholders as it prevents turnover in the long run.
Excellent. Excellent discussion. And I want to watch a video with the former president of Costco here in a second. But so the values that the geniuses who started Costco made part of the corporate culture, as long as they hold on to those values, I think Costco is going to continue to enjoy the same success they've had. But I want you to hear from the CEO here. So I'm going to see if I can pull this up for you here. It's about a 12-minute little interview here. Let's see. Man, I think I closed it. Okay, stand by 1 second. All right, we'll watch this short one about the Costco. Well, no, I really want you to see the one with the. So here, I'm going to mute my camera for just a quick second and pull up this video. So stand by 1 second. All right, I'm back. Here we go. I found it. I had accidentally closed that window. Sorry about that. Let's jump in here. Here we go. Can everyone see that?
Stores have become a can't-miss destination for nearly 100 million members. America is buying in bulk. Should home gamers join the club and put some Costco in their portfolio?
Before we left the West Coast last week, we checked in with Costco at their flagship store in Issaquah, Washington. Now, this longtime Kramer-fake big box chain has been a huge winner for shareholders, rallying about 50% over the past 12 months. And it just keeps climbing. Today, it surged another 2.8% after Oppenheimer upgraded Costco, citing the company's bullish outlook and the fact that the stock has not run as much as others here. Now, could it have more room to go higher? On Friday, we spoke to Craig Jelinek, Costco's bankable president and CEO who does very little TV. I need you to take a look at this. You have 100 million members. I think a lot of people believe it's the price. Other people believe it's the treasure hunt. I think it's the people. We always see the same people for years. How do you keep them?
Well, I think since the beginning, when our founder Jim Senegal and Jeff Brotman, when the company started, we always wanted to have great prices, never do it on the back of your people, pay good wages. And one of the things that we always want to do is pay great wages. If you look at our employees that have been around for our employees 10 years or more, they make almost $29 an hour. Our average wage is about almost $25 an hour. So it's just wages, and we think we're a good place to work. We pay benefits. We've got great people. We want people to stay for the long term. We have 401ks. And it's just great when you have great people who stay with and are loyal to the company. And it's just the right thing to do.
It is counterintuitive in America to think that you can offer the best benefits and the highest wages and still have incredible profit margins. Jim told me the churn, the way that turnover at all the other stores makes it so that you can afford to have those profit margins and still do better than everybody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want longevity. You want good employees. They know their jobs. They show you ways to become more efficient as a company. You're only as good as the employees that work with you.
Now, you have a few more than 500 stores, 546 stores in America, total of 785, and yet you're the third largest. How can you have so few stores and be the third largest?
Well, as you probably know, we're not a margin company, we're a volume company. And we need volume going through these, as we call them, warehouses. So that's really what it's about. We do a lot with very few units. We turn a lot of inventory, and it just works the best way for us to do it that way. We will continue to expand our Costco's, but we're not going to have one on every corner.
Okay, this is a beautiful store that you have here. I am told that this is where you sold that $450,000 piece of jewelry. How can you have such a diverse clientele that really kind of encompasses everyone in America?
Well, you know, one of the things that we do, no matter where you are in terms of incomes, everybody wants a value, right? And that's one thing that we've done from day one is we bring quality merchandise at the best possible price. And we do it and everywhere that we sell merchandise. That's the way we run it.
Now, the notion that you can have full employment and not have a lot of inflation, I think depends on the likes of your store. You can do huge volume. Obviously, there must be some tension between volume and price here, but you're part of the reason why we don't have inflation in this country.
Well, that's certainly very nice of you to say. We have a responsibility to figure out how little we can make off of a product instead of how much we can make a product, right? We want to sell a lot. We're in the volume business, not the margin business.
That works worldwide as a concept, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
It even works in Shanghai, where you had been reluctant to do business in China, you personally, but it looks like you're almost, some would say, too successful in Shanghai.
Well, we're very early in the game. When we opened up in Shanghai, we opened up very strong, and we were actually not ready for the amount of traffic that came into that building.
You opened and closed the same day.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we had to go through a lot of crowd control, and we had to go through and learn a lot of things. But we learned a lot. We opened up the next day, and it's business as usual over there.
I have some great shirts. They're made in Indonesia. Is that a way to be able to avoid Chinese tariffs?
No, that's not it at all. We've had a factory over there. Well, when I say a factory, our supplier has made the shirts over there. We've been with this supplier probably now who's been making our Kirkland Signature shirts for 20 plus years, and they do a very good job, and they're great quality shirts.
I'm glad you mentioned Kirkland. I have often found and I'm proud to be a long-term shopper at Costco, I've often found that the Kirkland brand is superior to the branded items. Most other companies would say, listen, our brand is just as good as the other guy. You want it to be better.
Well, we want the Kirkland brand. It's our name. We came up with Kirkland because our offices used to be in Kirkland. It wasn't that, that sophisticated a way to come up with a name. But we wanted it to be, and we don't do any advertising, as you know. And you can put the Kirkland Signature on toilet paper. You can put it on wine. You can put it on just about anything. And we're proud of that brand. And if you do a good job and you build a quality item, you're going to have trust with your members.
Well, let's talk about the stock, which has been an incredible performer. There's got to be tension between a special dividend that you give and low prices as members. I mean, why are you giving special dividends and also charging what you do for membership? Because I've always tried to figure out what is the balance of how you do your capital allocation.
Well, and the stock has appreciated very well. But also, a lot of people's stock has appreciated very well recently. The market's at an all-time high. We want to have, one of the things about low prices, you generate a lot of volume. When you generate a lot of volume, you don't generate cash.
Right.
And you have a responsibility to your shareholders. And, the stock has appreciated. We've done special dividends in the past. We always think about it when the right time might be to do another special dividend. We have no plans right at the moment, but we'll always look at that.
You have a huge amount of money that comes in from subscription fees. How do you decide when it's time to take that price increase? Because it looks like that nobody drops off when you do it.
We have to.
Commercial. Sorry, YouTube. Thank you very much.
The days of cleaning gutters and climbing ladders are officially over. Contact Home Solutions of Iowa for Leaf Gutter, the only gutter that will never clog. Call in the next 15 minutes and receive a
have to do it based on how we increase the value of the membership, right? When we add new pieces to the membership like travel, but also when we increase that, we don't put that on the bottom line. We turn around and lower prices and work off less margins.
Now, I find that because of your low prices, you can pretty much defeat anyone, including someone who is located in town, Amazon. I find better buys here than I do in Amazon. Is that conceivable? You're not going to get some of these prices on Amazon.
Well, you know, I don't, you worry about Amazon because it's better.
Right.
Really what we need to do is worry about what we can do well, figure out how to lower prices, lower our expenses. The lower the expenses that we have, right, the more efficient we become, the more we can lower prices.
The word that comes to mind, and I certainly find it here at this great store with these fabulous managers and people, you have a level of humility that does not exist anywhere else in corporate America. You are humble. How do you stay humble and be the greatest retailer in our country?
Well, you're very kind about the greatest retailer in the country. You know, we just, as I said before, we don't really turn a lot of people. We've been very blessed with as a company because even from our founders, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work from our employees, and we don't take anything for granted because really we feel good that we have a purpose to create low prices for people where we do business. Well, we have a responsibility to try to do that and make a little money for our shareholders.
You've mentioned the word responsibility many times. Again, very different from the low margin supermarkets I see, department stores. Is that one reason why you had 9% comps when everyone else is saying it was so promotional?
You know, I think we had the 9% comps for the simple reason that we do have a great membership base. We communicate to that membership base. I think they trust us when they come in to buy merchandise that this is going to be the best price that they see when they come in for quality merchandise. And I think, you know, that's just the way we run our business. I can't speak for everybody else, but I think our values that we have on merchandise just tells the story.
Are you ever afraid that you give away too much? Mr. Glandy runs a fantastic conference call. Cannibalization numbers. You talk about 20 basis points in this country, 138 points international. You're giving away information that is secret at other stores.
You know, we try to be transparent. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you know, we're going to talk to you about what we're going to be doing 3 and 4 years from now. Maybe not, but, you know, that's what we do.
Responsible?
Responsible, transparent. If we screw something up, which we do on occasion, we're going to make it right.
Well, as a proud member, I've never seen you screw up, but maybe that's just the way we as consumers know you. The guys,
and we appreciate that.
Absolutely. And it's a joy. It is still a treasure hunt. It's still the best price.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Craig Jelinek. He's the Costco CEO.
All right. So I want to get your feedback on that. Now you heard from the CEO of Costco. What are your takeaways? Like what either stands out about his character or something he said about the company? And we'll just kind of go around the virtual room here. I'll start with Alyssa. Alyssa, what do you think about that interview? What do you think about the CEO?
I thought that his attitude was really interesting about just how he treats just people in general. I thought that his philosophy on business and just engaging with employees and his providers was really interesting as well.
Excellent. All right, Joe, what do you think?
I think he had just a really humble attitude, and even when the guy like complimented him on a lot of stuff, he was like, well, we're just thankful for how like the founders and everything and how they've been built from a good foundation, and he's thankful for his employees. So just pushing that success onto how their employees have stuck with them and been good. So I think he had a good attitude of it's not him or the business necessarily that's great, but it's the employees and the people that started it.
Yeah, great. Caleb, what do you think?
I think you made a really good point. Like they're moving product and they aren't there to price gouge you. And when they're focusing on selling volume instead of, like he said, we're trying to get you the best deal. We're trying to figure out how to sell these products at a lower price. We're trying to figure out how to make less money. That's incredible, because I mean, it really shows the focus of the company and what he's trying to do. And he's like, you're giving away your secrets. He's like, normally this is like, you know, top secret file stuff. But he's like, no, he's like, we're transparent with our customers. We're transparent with our people. And people really do appreciate that. And they just know that you're taking care of them and you want the best product for them at the lowest price possible. So I thought that was exceptional.
Yeah, good. Jared, what do you think? What do you think about the CEO?
I think it was, I think the way in which he answered his questions and was presenting a lot of his the information. I think he really he didn't sound like a CEO, I guess, in some ways. You know, you kind of would expect somebody who would, you know, I mean, he was really down to earth, I guess, and not too, I guess, too proud of his situation and how he was handling his stuff, and he really knew where to put the credit. And so I think with that just makes their whole situation look better if, you know, and the way he handles his compliments and his things like that, and also just not you know, talking like he's smart, but just, you know, actually just being him. And so I just think that really just makes people feel a lot more, I don't know, they'd probably feel a lot more like he's more down to earth and relatable, I guess. So yeah.
Awesome. Christy, what do you think?
Something that stood out to me as I was watching was just how humble he was, and how he just really directed the focus off of himself towards the company and the people that he was working with, and different people that had helped him get to that point. And something that just really stood out to me was that a good leader doesn't take all the glory and all the fame for himself, but he really tries to give credit to other people, and that this guy is really showing a lot of qualities that a good leader would possess.
Yep, great. Krista.
I thought his approach to his competitors was interesting. Like, he wasn't really worried about what they were doing. He was just concerned with his company and their vision and purpose and how to make Costco better, and not really bothering with what Amazon is doing.
Yeah, great. Max.
I found it interesting, as it was kind of mentioned, just his humility and how he responded to comments and stuff, but also to kind of echo Caleb, that he was like, as a company, they were looking for the smaller margins to make it better for the customer. And then in their own brand, they were seeking to make products. And, you know, it's not just to make the cheap products that everyone, you know, like you see, and it's cheap, but it's still better quality than other places. So they're seeking to make good products that are not expensive, so to the point that you won't buy them. So they care about the customer. Like, the real orientation is not so much for the business, but it's for the customer.
Great. Katie.
I just liked where his focus was in the business. Like Krista kind of said, he wasn't focusing on his competitors or what they were doing. His focus was on like just their business and how they can make their stuff better. And I just also liked his humility, just because he was, that's a guy I would want to work for. He's not like concerned about the competition or anything. He's very humble. He takes care of his employees very well. Yeah.
Great. Noah.
He kept using the word responsibility, which I think is a good indicator of how he views the work that he's doing and his job. We've talked a lot about servant leadership, and I think when you view your job more as a responsibility than that you have towards other people, then your understanding it's not what you can get out of it, but how you can serve others.
Great. Emmy.
Just like a lot of people have touched on, I think that he had a great humble spirit and that he just wasn't really concerned with everybody else's, like all of his competitors. He's more concerned with his company and how he's running it as well. I also appreciated the fact that he saw the customers as people rather than just dollar signs, because he, like a lot of the things that would have been like corporate secrets for like other companies, he is willing to share with his with the consumers so that they were aware of things rather than keeping it a secret for just the company. So I just really appreciated that he saw them as, like I said, people rather than just buyers and everything.
Yep. Well, you guys all picked up on all the main things, but I wrote down a few things that you guys actually all picked up on. But I liked how just their business philosophy of volume over margin. So some people, they make something for 10 cents and they sell it for $1 and they get, that's 1,000 times markup or whatever. So they make something for 10 cents and they try and sell it for, 17 cents. And he said their goal is they work very hard to figure out how little they can make on something, not how much, which is challenging in retail, especially because when you can make 10 times what it cost you, you can get a lot of revenue in a very short period of time, especially if it's a high demand product. So it's very interesting that they work hard not to do that. I thought also a couple of you mentioned how when the host tried to almost bait him into talking about his competitors, like he talked about Amazon and other stores, probably referring to like a Sam's Club or Walmart, but he didn't want to go down that path. And really, it's really not about what the competitors are doing. They're trying to just do a good job at what they're good at and stick to their values, not keep one eye over their shoulder watching their competitors. He said one of the things when he was kind of complimented, and he never had a hard time deflecting credit. Like every time credit was given to him or to the company, they always deflected it down to the people that were working on the floor. But he said they don't take anything for granted. I think that's a very important point, because there are a number of companies that start out like Costco, or they have a long history like Costco where they're just successful and famous and everyone loves them, and they don't exist anymore. Well, how does that happen? Well, there could be factors that are beyond their control, but a lot of times they start to take things for granted. They take the main things that got them how they got there. They start taking those things for granted. The customers, the employees, their philosophy, and they start changing things around, and they really ruin things. There are a number of businesses that have gone down that path. And then the final thing at the very end, when they tried to summarize the whole conversation, the three things that kind of summarize the interview is, he feels very, as far as his ethics go, being responsible, being transparent, and being accountable. And those three things kind of build on each other. I don't know if they intended it to be that way, but so first off, you have to be responsible when people aren't watching. Then you open up the window shades so that people can watch and see how you're actually doing things. So they're transparent. And then that transparency leads to accountability, so people can ask questions and people can learn, and there's not this corporate secret sauce. It is simple transparency. You can see it, you can ask questions. When they mess up, they try and make it right, like he said. So I thought it was very good. I don't know if any of you ever been to Costco on Senior Citizen Day. I think it's like Thursday mornings or something before noon. When we went there, first time we went, I didn't realize it was Senior Citizen Day. So that's the day where they have every possible food sample. So there's like 30 people giving out food samples, so that's great. It's kind of like free lunch before you get up there for the $1 hot dog. So, and then everyone in the store is a senior citizen except for us, which was kind of funny. So, you know, we were definitely the fastest cart in the store, which made me feel good. But yeah, I was just at Costco last week, and I got there when they opened. I had to stand in line outside because of the whole social distancing. There were about 100 of us in line. They let us in one at a time. It probably didn't even take 15 minutes for me to get in. The whole place is clean. Everyone that works there seems to enjoy working there. The guy that checks your ticket as you leave is the happiest guy in the whole place. They're friendly when they unload your cart for you. And it's just, and even though it's comfortably full and pretty busy, and it's a 25-minute drive from where I live, I really don't mind. I'll drive past 100 other stores to go there. So whatever they're doing, you know, that corporate culture definitely influences the consumer, and I'm happy to pay $60 a year to have my membership there because I feel like I make it back the first time I go and buy a cart full of stuff. So, and people used to joke about buying, 24 rolls of toilet paper. Now they're all getting Costco memberships because everyone wants to stock up. So there you go. Any final thoughts? Okay, well, great. Good job. Thank you for participating in that discussion. I think it was a good one. And we'll jump back in next week. I think we're going to tackle our final chapter for this ethics textbook. So be looking for the final assignments with that. And I will stay in touch with you guys. Have a great day.